Scouts and scouters, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, raise the flag of the United States of America. Scout salute. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. About face. Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard, dismiss.
All right, hey, good morning, Maroons, and happy Veterans Day. It's Mr. Peck. I'm here in the library, and you probably don't know the guy sitting next to me, but this was a classmate of mine. His name is Cody Floyd. We were in school together at Maroa Forsyth from kindergarten all the way to senior year of high school. Didn't always have the same teacher every year, but we're in the same grade. Since then have kept in touch a little bit, and he used to join my social studies class when I was a teacher to talk to them on Veterans Day, and I felt like this year it would be great to have him come and talk to you guys, but since we're not getting all together in the same room, we decided to do it in an interview format. So Cody, welcome to Clinton Junior High.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm just so glad to have you here, and I guess tell us a little bit about, before I introduce what you did, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
So I'm a sheriff's deputy with Champaign County, so just a couple counties over from you guys right now. I've been doing that for a handful of years. In that capacity, I've got many different jobs. I'm a field training officer. I'm a crisis intervention officer, helping people in mental health crises. And also I'm an arrest and control tactics instructor.
Okay, awesome. So it's a lot more exciting than junior high principal. So
I don't know about that.
But I appreciate what you're doing now and your service in the military as well. That kind of leads me to my question for you to start off is, when you were in school, I didn't know that you had interest in the military, and not until I heard that you were in the military and particularly in the Army did I know that when we got a little bit older. And so wanted to know from you, why is that something that you chose to do after high school? And maybe was there anything specific that also led you to the Army over some of the other branches too? Maybe not, maybe that's just where you fit in, but I wanted to ask that.
So you've known me since we were kids, as you said,
right.
And I've always been one to want to help other people, whether it was at school, church, whatever. And I've always had a real passion for helping people and giving back. And still to this day, I help out with different nonprofits and serve my community in my job, actually.
Right.
But, the thought of being in the military while we were in high school never really occurred to me. After high school, I was approached by a recruiter, and I bought into it and thought it sounded like a good idea. It was a way for me to serve not only just my community and the people directly around me, but
Sure.
to serve the nation as a whole. As far as joining the Army, A lot of that influence came from my stepdad, who's a Vietnam vet, my grandpa, who's a Korean War vet, both
Right.
from the Army.
Okay.
I took some flack from my sister, who was currently in the Air Force when I
Right.
joined. But I also had a brother that was in the National Guard at the time, too.
Sure.
So a lot of heavy family influence to join the Army.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like always has kind of been an important thing for your family, now down to a few generations. So, awesome. You always had, when you visited my class, you always had a really interesting way of explaining where you were, and what your title was, but then how you kind of fit in inside of your, I'm just going to say it, group that you were with as you were stationed in Afghanistan. So explain how that works in military terms that I don't always know how to explain it.
Okay, so the way I explained it to your previous classes was, it was kind of like an address, and if you wanted to track me down, you'd start, physically, you'd start with, my address right now. You could say, oh, he is in the world, and then he's in
Right.
America, and he's in Illinois, and he's in Champaign County, and then you can go from my town and street and number and all that.
Right.
Same thing with the Army. You could say he's in the Army, he's in the 4th Infantry Division, 4th Brigade, 3rd Squadron, 61st Cavalry Regiment, Bravo Troop, 3rd Platoon, and the medic.
Okay.
And that tracks you down to one person in the Army that fits the bill on all of those things, and that was me.
Right. Okay. So I always loved how that was explained, because when I'll read a military book or an account of what happens in a particular war, and they'll list all those things, and as a common person, I don't always understand what all that is. So I always enjoyed you saying exactly kind of how you fit in to the bigger picture of what the military was at that time when you were there. Right now, probably on the screen is coming up some pictures that you shared with me, and some people in those pictures, students you guys might recognize, but one particular picture is going to be of you and a couple other gentlemen, and that's kind of where we lead off into what your story was. So you want to explain what that picture is, and I'll let you take it from there. So.
Sure. So this picture that you're looking at, me and 3 other guys, those guys are, since I'm not looking at the photo right now, I don't know the
Sorry.
order,
Yeah.
but it's me on the far right. I believe it's Jeff Hobbs, who is now a captain in the Army, retired Major Chris Cordova, and retired Sergeant Major Shane Corville. And that picture was taken in Afghanistan at a place called Cop Keating, Combat Outpost Keating, and that was in the Nuristan province in Afghanistan.
Okay. So when you were there, I believe when that picture was taken, it was just after a pretty particularly crazy event that you and your group of Army soldiers went through at that time. So if you want to tell us a little bit about just your service and that event. I know you won't get into a ton of details,
Sure.
but go ahead.
So, Combat Outpost Keating, well, actually that picture was taken either October 5th or October 6th. We don't know for sure,
Right.
because the days kind of blended together after this this battle. On October 3rd, 2009, the Battle of Kamdesh, or the Battle of Cop Keating, as it's commonly known, occurred. It started just before 6 a.m. that morning, and essentially, the way I describe it is kind of like a history class. You study history, and you've got a battle and a war, and this side had this many people, the other side had this many people, this is how many people they lost, this is how many people they lost, and who won the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially it was us at Cop Keating. It was about 50 Americans, 2 Latvian soldiers that were with us, and a handful of Afghan National Army soldiers. And on the other side, the Taliban and AAF fighters had approximately, give or take, 300.
Mm-hmm.
The battle lasted all day. Like I said, it started before 6 a.m. that morning and went until well into the evening. I don't know what time I could say it stopped, but it was most of the day, if not all of it. And at the end of the day, the Taliban had lost approximately about 150, or half of their force, and we had lost 8 that day. Out of that 8, they were all American soldiers. The 2 Latvian soldiers just lived through the battle, and all of the Afghan National Army soldiers fled at the beginning of the battle and didn't stick around to fight.
Right.
So, yeah, that was, I think the total tally was the battle lasting just over 12 hours,
Yeah.
12 to 14, give or take, just because we weren't really tracking time.
Right. Sure. Every time I hear the story, it's always amazing to me when you think of the numbers. And you're right, in history class, a lot of times you look back at old battles and they talk about, the Battle of Shiloh and the Civil War and this many soldiers on this side and that side. And it doesn't always work out that the most lost on one side win the battle, vice versa. But it's just interesting to think about as we fight wars now and battle. Things have changed, and you guys were definitely outnumbered and outmanned and in a position that was really tough for you. One thing you always explained to my class that I took a lot from was really why you decided to serve and why an American soldier serves their country, and when they're put in moments like that, what they're actually doing it for. So could you maybe explain that? It was always a great
Sure.
message to hear. So
the answer to that question is kind of a multi-level answer. Because you mentioned why you're doing it in that moment, and in that moment, the reason you're doing is the guys to your left and right, and that's the reason you're still fighting through a 12 to 14 hour battle.
Right.
Is to take care of the guys on your left and right and make sure everybody goes home. The generality answer of that question is that, the reason I joined the Army and the reason a lot of us joined the Army, military in general, is that it's not that we hate the people that we're fighting, it's that we love the people we're fighting for. And so we've got something back home that we're fighting for, that we want to preserve and that we care about and that we're willing to fight for. And in this case, for some of them, it was fighting to the death to preserve that and take care of the people back here in the States.
right. I always thought that was such a powerful message, and I think on Veterans Day, it's such a really great thing to remember. We still have veterans living from a few of our wars. We've got some wars we're getting to the point where we don't have anymore that we can talk to, and so I think if you trace back to the World Wars and Korean War and even before that, that message has always probably been the same, and so I think it's really important that is still heard, and that you guys as students are hearing that, and the generations to come are hearing that is why you do it.
I've talked to veterans from previous generations, previous wars, and even guys that were drafted. They didn't sign up for it. Those guys have the same message.
Mm-hmm.
The few World War II vets I've been able to talk to in my time,
Yeah.
I cherish every second talking to those guys, because you talk about showing a love. Those
Yeah.
guys have so much love, and they showed that was the reason that they had no problem being drafted and going to do that, because they knew what was at stake.
Sure. When you mentioned the word love, I think that's a thought, especially right now, as the world just kind of seems a little crazier the last couple of years, that we don't always say enough. And so it's great to still hear that message of loving our country, loving each other, supporting each other in that moment. And even after that moment, that's what you did for your brothers in battle and continue to do when you're back here. So I just appreciate it so much, and really wanted to get that message across to my kids. I know that the fun part of this is always getting to show off some of your things that you brought with you.
Yeah.
So I'll let you'll do that, and it was always cool to explain maybe to my students when I taught what some of these stood for and how you were able to earn them. So
Let me take them out of their awesome protective case that I have.
Sure.
This plastic bag. So I've got a handful of things here. I guess I'll start off with, am I missing one? Thought I had one more, maybe not. So, yeah, I'll start with a couple cool things. There it is, it fell out.
okay.
So I'll start with this silver one. This is the Combat Medical Badge. It's awarded to medics who've given care under fire,
Sure.
essentially. So provided medical care to other soldiers while still
Sure.
in a battle
Yeah.
and taking fire. And this was awarded to me prior to October 3rd of 2009 for a separate battle, a much smaller one, but still
Okay.
something that I remember the day that I got it, or
Sure.
remember the day that I got it for, and it was a special moment for me
Yeah.
to receive that and kind of earn my stripes as a medic, I guess.
Sure.
Here we've got a few different things. These are all, so if you're looking at a soldier's uniform in the Army, you know, they've got their medals that they wear on their left side over their heart, and then these go on the right. These are unit awards, so not awarded to the individual,
Okay.
but awarded to the unit as a whole. And so here we've got the Meritorious Unit Citation, which was awarded to my unit for our time overseas in Afghanistan. This is the Valorous Unit Award, which is kind of an above and beyond unit
Sure.
award. And then to top that one even, we've got the Presidential Unit Citation for the unit. And we got 2 of those, and that's why there's a little oak leaf cluster stuck
Awesome.
in the middle of that one. So we got 2 on that one deployment to Afghanistan in 2009 and 2010. The next thing I've got is my my medals, my ribbons and medals. You know, there's a handful on here for just a short amount of time in the service. In my, I spent 4 years in the Army. In that time, I did a lot, and I'm proud to say that I did a lot in a short amount of time. I'll highlight a few that I'm particularly proud of. I've got a Purple Heart here in the middle, and that's for receiving wounds in combat. I've actually got 3 of those. You only wear one, but I've got 3 Purple Hearts. Sure. Off to the side of that one, I've got, this is the Army Commendation Medal, and you'll see I've got a couple different things on that one. So one is the oak leaf cluster to note that there's multiple ones, and then there's also a V for Valor, because I've been given an Army Commendation Medal multiple times, and one of those times it was enhanced for Valor sections. Sure. I'll show one more and explain it. The rest are kind of fluff, I guess, but this is the Afghan Campaign Medal stating that I was in Afghanistan. The cool thing about this one is the additions on it as well. So we've got this star here that denotes that it was during 2 campaigns in Afghanistan. The cooler part is this arrowhead that's on here. So the arrowhead on a campaign medal means that you've done some kind of either air, land, or amphibious assault.
Sorry about my alarm.
That's all right.
Okay.
So the arrowhead denotes that you've done some kind of air or amphibious assault. Sure. And so air could mean jumping out of an airplane or helicopter or whatnot. I did a mission in Afghanistan where we fast roped out of helicopters. Cool. I'm sure you've seen Black Hawk Down, the movie that actually happened on October 3rd as well.
Oh, wow.
Same day as the battle I was in. But so those guys dropped the ropes out of the helicopter and roped down. We did that on a mountainside in Afghanistan, probably the scariest part of the deployment. And so that's why I'm particularly proud of that, because it's something that very few people do have. There's not a whole lot of air missions or air assault missions or airborne missions currently. So there's all of those. It's a heavy stack.
Yeah, it is. Okay. And then last,
I've got a few more things here. So these are what we call challenge coins, and when you get 21 years of age, you can use these things. So these are passed down by commanders in the military, people of higher rank, higher stature. And so what they do is when you're meeting them and you are somebody worthy of their coin, someone who has earned their respect, what they do is with the handshake, they pass off this coin to you. And so I've got a couple of my highlights I want to show to you guys. But before I do, I'll explain what the purpose of these is outside of receiving them and garnering respect of that high-ranking officer. So when soldiers who are 21 or over can go to a bar, whoever throws down the highest coin doesn't have to pay for the drinks. The lowest coin does. So I've got a couple good ones here. This one is Ty Carter. He's a Medal of Honor recipient that I served with in Afghanistan. He earned it for the Battle of Kop Keating, for his actions in the Battle of Kop Keating. So I've got that one from him. On the back of his, it's really cool. He's got listed the 8 guys who passed during that battle.
Sure.
I've also got another Medal of Honor recipient who I've had the pleasure of meeting with, Sal Gunta. Just a fantastic guy. So there's a couple not high ranking, but high stature guys because they've got the highest medal possible. I will also never have to pay for a drink because I've got the highest ranking office in the military, which is not a general, it's our commander-in-chief. I've got 2 coins from President Obama because I've met him twice now, and each time he gave me a coin. And so these are my trump cards that I can throw down and show that I've met the highest ranking person in the military. And so there's all of those as well if you want to take a look at those.
I don't know if I ever got to see them just because my kids usually always hogged them.
Passed them around. I don't think it got back to you.
Very cool. Yeah, it even says Barack Obama signature right there.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Cody, I'm going to hand these back to you. 'Cause I feel like I'm going to drop them and screw something up here. So
I'm sure it's fine.
I just wanted to say thank you for joining us for a few minutes here to talk just not only about your love of your country, but love of what it stands for, and love for the people that were back home when you were serving, and for why you did what you did. And I just want to thank you and thank all of our veterans, but particularly today, thank you for your service and for coming in to share that story with us here at Clinton Junior High. So, Cody, thanks so much. Appreciate it. And guys, I hope you guys have a chance. It's not a normal year where we would have veterans here in the building, but if you have somebody at home, you have a neighbor, you have somebody that you know served, whether they went overseas or not, they were part of our military in any way, please thank them today. I hope you guys have a great Veterans Day. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
Yep.